and I'm a business consultant. And when I'm not doing business consulting, I do content creation. I have a YouTube channel, Kenya Diaspora Connect. And what I do on my channel is I bring Kenyans who have businesses here in America. I give them a platform to come and introduce their businesses to the community. I do not charge for that, so don't be scared. So most of you here are small businesses, so you're welcome to the channel. You'll just introduce yourself and tell us about your business. Now, the panel today is all about technology and how we can use technology to enhance our businesses. So these ladies and gents here are going to be sharing today with you guys how you can take advantage of technology, because we all know in today's life without technology, we are going nowhere, even when we don't have a business. So now can you imagine when you have a business? So welcome, everybody. So we're going to take a few minutes, and I would love for you guys to take a minute each to introduce yourself, tell us your name, city and state, where you're coming from, and also the name of your organization. Just 1 minute. And we are going to start ladies first. Yeah.
Hi, everyone.
Can you hear me now? Yes. Awesome. Hi, everyone. My name is Amira Ali. I live in New York. I do business in the tri-state area. My company is called Tefali Solar. We do full-on solar installation for homeowners, small business owners, institutionals, such as schools and hospitals. And we try to provide customized solutions for any customer that comes our way. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Madonna Wamwam. I am the Chief Technology Officer for Access, and my company is called Jambo. It's a consulting firm. I am also an author, and I'm generally a software engineer, but from time to time, I travel around speaking and just sharing my knowledge with others, and mostly how to build mobile application, because I'm a Go developer expert for Android, and that's about me.
Hi, my name is Kennedy Mafano. I'm from Jambo. My company is called Wema Devs. Wema means goodness. So when we come up with a name, we just wanted to see the goodness of God and everything that we do. What we do is that we help. I'm an instructor. I train students, or I train those that are interested to do development, to create applications. We help businesses, we help students get certified into development. I'm going to be talking more about development.
Hello. All right. My name is Michael Munier. I live here in New Jersey. I'm an IT consultant. My company is called EasyTech. We are more like a mentoring and also training, where we cater to people who either don't have a job or trying to change careers, and they have heard the good things about IT. So we take them from the very beginning, to the introductory, and then train them on QA, which is quality assurance analyst. I will be talking more about it. So that's what I do.
Hello, my name is Kareni Igeria. I live in Michigan, Detroit, Michigan, Motown. My company is Kareni Consulting. And what we do at Kareni Consulting is manage your data. We help you migrate your data to the cloud. And once your data is in the cloud, we manage it for you. The aspects of management include performance, security, of course. Those are the main things. So we work with you from point A to A. So that's what we do.
Alright, give it up for our panel. So, we're gonna go back to, Amira. You are with, solar system. So we see solar advertisements all over. We see the panels. Most of us are aware it's something to do with saving money with, our electricity bill, but we don't really understand how it works. So take 2 minutes and tell us why solar. Like, for example, some of us who live in central New Jersey use, Jersey Central Power. We don't like to pay the bills. So talk to us and tell us how you can save us money. Why should we use this other alternative here versus what, we have been using for the last God knows how many years?
Thank you again. I think I want to start by just maybe framing things through the lens that we went through yesterday. We said in the first panel that many of us really are very concerned about working from shift to shift, saving every penny, trying to invest in back home or here. And that process can take forever sometimes to be able to reach the threshold you want to reach from a financial security perspective. Now, when you are doing financial planning in terms of personal finance, one of the things that are important to remember is it's not just the savings you need to look at, it's also where your expenses are going. It's where you're spending the money. And if you really think about it, some of the richest people around are also penny pinchers. They like to count their dollars because they like to know where everything is going. Because you don't build wealth overnight, you build it over decades, and you build it through habits of saving. So you may be asking yourself, where does solar come into this? You see, solar affects your electricity bill as the most basic thing. Every month, you're paying the utility provider, and the cost of your electricity goes up, rarely down, if ever. It just goes up because utility providers are allowed to increase the cost of your bill based on a few things. So one, they can increase your bill to upgrade your infrastructure. They can increase your bill to keep up with the cost of inflation. They can increase your bill to continue serving an increasing population in your area. What you don't have is the ability to say, PSCG, I'm not going to pay. JCP, I'm not going to pay. You don't have the luxury of not paying them because more often than not, they're the only providers in your area. So with solar, you're doing two things in one. First, you are basically financially saving yourself with even the bills that you're not really thinking about, but have a long-term impact on your bottom line. But at the same time, you're also fixing your electricity bill for the foreseeable future, which means you're not subject to inflation, you're not subject to the cost of grid replacements, you're not subject to increasing population density for utilities to keep up with. That's the type of independence that it gives you, but it's also information that's not always available because when you're receiving those ads, what you get is a lot of like, flashy words, a lot of, oh, solar is free, or solar is easy, but the mechanics of it or the whys and the hows are not always clear. But from what we had yesterday, an informed customer is a protected one. And I think our company, what we try to do is inform, because we really believe that the more informed you are, the easier the decision to go solar becomes. It becomes a no-brainer after that.
All right, I have a follow-up question for you. When you go and install these solar panels, I'm assuming that would have to be a homeowner who is making the decision to install panels to save energy. Some people here rent, so that might not apply. And also there's another group of people who have like townhouses or townhomes, meaning you own the inside and maybe there's a homeowner association that takes care of the outside. So that means you can't just wake up one day and decide, I'm gonna save energy and I'm gonna call your company to come and install panels. What is the process of somebody who has a HOA? How do they save energy?
Okay, so I'll go through that in 3 stages. So the first one is for the homeowners. If you are the decision maker in the house or one of the decision makers, going solar is a fairly straightforward process. What we do is we come sit down with you, go through your needs, and then design a system that meets your needs. And then we will go a step further and like walk you through the process of permitting and getting approvals from your utility provider, making sure your system is registered with the state, so you are eligible for all of the incentives you're given. There's the second group for renters. There are other forms of solar you can actually benefit from. If you are renting, transitioning from renting to ownership, I would suggest you wait for the transition to go solar. But if you are renting and have a keen interest in trying to access the solar savings, there's something called community solar that we can look into together with the renter and the landlord or lady, depending on what those requirements are. Then the last one on the HOAs. So what we normally do with HOAs is we will, let's say, speak with someone who is a member of that particular group. They will introduce us to the HOA. We sit down with the HOA and we walk them through what our solution is. And then usually they give us the mandate of having to go and sit down with the individual homeowners to try and agree on the best systems for each of them. The key thing is to ensure that they like the quality of our work, so we can provide that track record for them. They want to know we have all of the licenses in place and all of that, and we do, because we are trying to basically stay in business as long as possible, and to also use the same equipment across the board for their members. So we are able to meet most of those requirements that are off the gates. Usually we just need to agree on the timelines and the schedule for this.
All right, thank you so much. I do have another question for you, but we'll circle back to that so we can hear the other people. And you guys, as they tell us about what they do and their services, please write down your questions. We have like maybe 15 minutes where you guys can ask them questions in case you have a question. Madonna, talk to us about what you do. You're a software engineer. What does that even mean? And because we get intimidated by all these, we see, I can't even begin to imagine what it is that you do. So tell us what you do and how small business owners can use technology to grow or to enhance their business.
I love it. Okay, so then, I just want to mention, I think I learned so much from what she shared. I hope many of us also learned a lot. Because I mean, I know about solar, but I've never thought about it like that. So thank you for that. So as a software engineer, what I do is I build software. I specialize on mobile. So mobile is, for instance, most of us here might have Samsungs or iPhones. So for anybody that's using the Samsung phone, yeah, you're definitely using the Android operating system. Now, for the ones that are using the iPhones, I'm using the iOS, which is the iOS operating system, which is the iPhone. Now, over the years, I've been building mobile applications. So that is what that means is that everybody here, every big company out there, they definitely need to cater to their customers because everybody now has a mobile phone. And everybody here has a mobile phone. So what we do is we write the applications and then we deploy them to the Play Store or the app Play Store. And then people are able to download these applications and use them. Now, for businesses, what I normally say is that if your application, sorry, not application, but website does not require any customers, there's no need to have an application for both, let's say, Android or iOS, because you can just use the web progressive app, which means your website can still be used, can be browsed on the phone. But if you have more customers that log into your system, it's okay to give them a mobile app because that makes more sense and it's more feasible and also it scales as compared to just building an app that nobody is using it and it doesn't make any sense. Now, from that, after doing this for many years, I became an expert. So by an expert, what that means is that Google noticed what I was doing, building these applications, and then they said, hey, you look like you understand what you're doing a lot. So what they did is recruited me to their group, which is for expert, which has, I think, 1,000 people around the world. And what we do is that now we review the APIs. So the APIs is application programming interface. And what that does is that before that stuff is deployed to developers now, I get to test it and I get to work on it. Like for instance, one API that I was working on recently is the camera. So by the camera, it means every developer that's going to build an application that has a camera, I'm the one that tests the API for Google and tell them like, okay, I think developers will understand how to use this. Or I think this is very complex, try to make it more easier for developers. So Google wanted me by giving me the expert title. The expert title comes with a lot of things, which is number one, Google sponsors you to travel around the world, speaking about Android, and then they pay for my flight and my hotel. I know people don't know about this actually, that's why from time to time I like to share. Because it's one of the things that really elevated my career in a way, because I didn't know they do that. I mean, you just get to be sponsored to go everywhere. Apart from that, we have a company which is consulting. And what we do is, as an expert in Android, it became easier for me, for companies to reach out to me and ask me, hey, Madonna, how can I build an application that caters to the Android community or to the iOS community? And with my expertise, it became easier to just tell them, hey, this is how you can do it better. So if you have a company and you're looking into, let's say, a mobile developer or looking into seeing if you even need a mobile app, I do a lot of consulting on that. And also since I also understand the stacks that we use also for web development, I also do that too, through my consulting firm. Yeah, that's what I do.
One question for you, because I think business people here, I think they understand, they will understand what that means for business. Some of the people here are here to support, they're not business owners. Some of us have kids and we are thinking, oh boy, should we have put them in STEM? What is STEM? Do we need to put our kids to be where you are, start them early, talk about that because they're young ones in our community. So if we want to set them up in this field of technology, software engineers and all that, what is it? I'm sure you're familiar with the STEM program. Talk to the parents. I know that's a little bit out of business, but
no, it's actually in business because at the end of the day, the kids can do a lot. Now, the thing that I like to mention is that for me, it was curiosity. I didn't actually want to become a software engineer. I wanted to become an aeronautic engineer because I loved the planes. But then I got a phone and a computer. And then when I got a phone, I used to play this snake game. And to me, that I was like, wait, who built this? Why can't I build this? And now look at me, years later, I'm doing it. So for parents, I would say the future, the way we see it now, is a lot of AI. I know most of us here have heard of that, artificial intelligence coming up. And I also have other tips that I can offer for businesses to how we can utilize this, because I'm utilizing it myself in stuff that I do. But what I can say to parents is that it is definitely a good field. And as long as we have mobile phones, one thing, I mean, with technology, you never know. Things move very fast, but I don't think the phones are going anywhere. Neither are the computers, neither are the things that we do. So definitely getting them early and started into STEM is very important, because then this prepares them for future jobs. Because when you look at now, many of the jobs that we have are beginning to get either replaced or they don't need manual work anymore. It's more people understanding the software, computers, and also maybe mobile apps and other things. So definitely encourage your kids towards that, but also tap into their curiosity. That's what matters a lot. I asked my kids, I brought my boys here, 2 of them, they're over there, they're waiting. So it's always good to ask them, what are you curious about? And I realized my sons now are very curious about robot. And I was invited to this event to speak in Maryland, and all the kids there wanted to know how to build a robot. So as you can tell, kids are definitely gravitating towards that, because I feel like that's definitely where the future's going. So for them knowing how to build these things early on, or getting to understand that actually these are the future careers, it's going to prepare us as parents, and parents will be happy knowing that we prepared our kids to sustainable work in the future, because definitely I have to say it pays well. Everybody knows the money is
I was
there.
going to ask that, what's about the money? So you guys, you have kids and they have this STEM program, make sure you encourage them to get into that. And write your questions for Madonna. Kennedy, talk to us about DevOps and what it is that you do, because I absolutely don't understand quite what you do, but I have an idea. Talk to these people and tell them how they can use your service to enhance their business, and what exactly is it?
Thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. So I think I'll just begin with a brief introduction, because DevOps is pretty new to many. So DevOps is just a combination of 2 words, that's development and operations. So now, like Madonna, she's in the development, like what she's explained, developing applications. I'm the person in between. Let's say he's in operations. Okay, so a DevOps engineer or someone who does DevOps is the person who is in between. They are able to manage developers and the people in the operation. So the people in the operation are the people that use the application that she's building, right? The application that she's building. Now, what a DevOps engineer, or what we do is, personally, I train people, I train students that will be able to understand what a developer does, but also understand what operations means, and therefore they are able to build an infrastructure for them. So let me use an example, a building like this. So before we start building, we have contractors that come in, they will look at the site and they put up a structure, right? Once they put up a structure like this, we can call this the infrastructure. So once they have built the infrastructure, then now we have people that come in. We have people that come in to now start decorating, to start putting decoration after the structure has been built, right? So what a DevOps engineer does is we build the infrastructure for you. So for a small business, let's say you have a business, you're a baker. I'm gonna use that example. You're a baker. You've had an order of maybe the first time you baked a cake for a birthday, people liked it so much, and you were given orders. Somebody came and said, okay, I have a wedding, I have this. And within no time, you realize that your business is growing, their orders. Now, you need to come up with a system where you have people that are going to help you get the ingredients, mix them, pack them, right? While probably you're managing orders, you're managing the customers. Now, you will need to upgrade to a point whereby maybe you have a commercial kitchen, right? You need to find an infrastructure that is able to handle the orders that you get. Now, you need to start thinking of how do I store them, right? Freezers. Now, as you store them, how are you going to ship them, right? And as you ship them, as your business grows, maybe you have contracts with, let's say, supermarkets, grocery stores that you're supplying with those cakes. So you have to figure out all that, how you're going to deliver the cakes. Now, what happens if you deliver your cakes, products to a supermarket, and they all get damaged, right? You need a form of mechanism that is going to monitor what is happening on that particular end. And we call that is just a feedback. You need to be, as the business owner, you need to be able to understand that. So what our development, we are able to put for you the infrastructure whereby everything is automated. We automate everything, whereby from where you get your ingredients from, the vendors that you have, right? What tool you're going to use to actually mix, bake, right? What you're going to use for delivery, right? And the kind of feedback you're going to get. Now, what do you do with the feedback? When customer says, oh, that cake wasn't good, you will get that feedback. That feedback needs to create a ticket for you. Once you have that ticket, what are you going to tell the people that were baking or mixing, right? So a DevOps engineer in a nutshell is somebody in between. We understand what the development world is doing. We understand what the operations world expects, right? But we come and create the infrastructure to make sure that the operations understand what developers are doing and developers understand the expectations of what the customer needs.
So from what you're sharing, it's all about automation. So me as a business owner, I don't have to be up at 2 a.m. trying to figure out who went to my website, placed an order, and how is the shipping gonna be done, and how is that what you're talking about? Like everything happened in the background while I was sleeping?
Yes, so once you have, like right now with technology, we can configure everything such that your customer will go online to place your orders. Now using applications like Madonna Bills, right? So through those applications, you can place your orders. Now everything happens in the background. You have computers, supercomputers that are storing your data, right, in the cloud, AWS, Google, Azure. So you are storing that data in the cloud. Now you have systems that are going to be monitoring their activity. So when you have customers in Africa, they go on your website and they place an order, you can see that in real time. You can, on your mobile phone, you can actually see who is on your website. What are they doing? And once they place the order, you are able to see that, to track that. So we can configure that in the background for you. So you don't have to be up all night or making phone calls. When somebody makes an order, you manually placing a call to them. So you can trust the computer to do that.
Awesome. That is good. We'll come back to you. Let's go to Mr. Munyeri. I think you guys are sitting in order because it sounds like you're all doing the same thing, but this one does this and then pass it on to the next person. So let's hear what Mr. Munyeri you have to say. You are in the same IT field. So tell us what it is that you do. You also have some virtual classes or courses that you train people. So what are you teaching and what are they hoping to become and what is the pay like? It's all about what's in it for them.
All right, thank you. Yes, I run a company called EasyTech. The way I started EasyTech is is I went through a training myself, many years ago, around 12 years ago. And, it was a short course, it was about 3 months. And, I was very new in IT, and for some reason, I loved it, or I liked it. And I never looked back. And it sounds a little bit interesting when you're moving to a new career that you have never done before, and you're trying to change your career. But the thing is within IT, and I think, you know, and I'll explain a little bit more of what I do, because, and the reason why I do it. And the reason why I do it, first of all, let me say, the reason why I do it is because I found it like a way to mentor people, because I was mentored and I succeeded. And I said, okay, let me try to mentor others, because so much of us have so much skills. But the question is do you ever spare some time to also mentor someone else to do what you do? Because I think that's how, as a community, that's how one day that's how we're able to grow into the society and be able to have jobs that can be able to provide for us. So what I teach is something we call QA testing, or quality assurance testing. What happens is, like what Madonna was saying, is she develops Android apps. A lot of times, you know, developers spend many hours developing something, but then again, when it's being used by the user either finds something that has what we call a defect, something that is not working. There's a feature that is not working. And usually for big companies that spend money and resources, it can be very embarrassing to roll out a product that has a defect. And so what we try to do is, you know, in testing, sometimes you don't have to be a super, what you call a programmer. You know, you just need to really understand a little bit more like IT. You don't have to really be the coder, but be able to, you know, have like that mindset of a user, not as a developer. That way, you can easily find where the bugs are. And over the years, the reason why this field is very important is because, you know, some of us who are a little bit older remember back in the day when Microsoft launched their Windows 3.1. And, you know, Bill Gates was very young then, went to a podium like where we are right now, talking highly about the product. And the moment they click in the power button, the product crashed. And ever since then, they never recovered. I mean, they have come up with better products, but every time something crashes on your Windows, you always say, oh, these are Microsoft products. And it's very difficult for companies to fail. It's cost them a lot of money. So that's why over time, they have built this whole curriculum on testing. And so every product we used to use here, whether it's an app, whether it's, you know, you go to your bank account. So for example, you log in and you're looking at your balance, or you're trying to transfer money from one account to account. It seems seamless. It's not seamless because the developers are perfect. It's because someone has tested that and they have used it the same way you're using it. And so it has become a career. And so we mentor anyone who can be from any background, and we walk you through the steps of testing.
The classes that you offer online, talk a little bit about that. Are they 3 months, 4 months?
Yes, the classes we offer online takes about 3 months, and they are remotely. You can be anywhere, and also you can be from any career. You know, there's some people who comes from any career. It doesn't matter what it is. I don't, you know, I don't say I cannot train you because of ABCD. I always tell people have an open mind, and I take you through that. It takes about 3 months to go through the training because there's the tools and introductory to it. And then after that, we help you, you know, writing a good resume and being able to, because most of these jobs are more white-collar jobs, so we can show you how to represent yourself. Most of the interviews are even done on remotely, so it's not somewhere that you can get step in an office. And some of them are work nowadays, are remote or hybrid. So it's somewhere we support you even when you get a job, because we have hosted people in Microsoft, in different companies. So, they come back and they give us the feedback, and then we feel that, we are able to professionally prepare you for that.
Thank you so much. On to Mr. Kareyu. You are the AWS guy. So tell them what AWS is and how we can use that. I know I have AWS. I don't know where I use it. They never explained it to me. I just know it works. I have no idea how it works. So now you are the guy to tell people what it is, why they need it, and why they should be hosting either their websites or other content using AWS versus whatever else is GoDaddy or whoever else is out there.
Thank you. So, just like you said, it works. You don't need to worry about it. You just know it works. That's why you should all be using. And where Heritage Consulting comes in is to make sure that you never have to think about how things are working, whether they're up, whether they've crashed. Okay, you don't have to worry about the monitoring aspect. Okay, what we do, we assist customers with everything to do with their data. So all every business that's represented here has data. True or not? Most of you also have a website. True or not? Yeah. So your core business, let's say you're selling land. Fine. Most of you. If you have all these investors going to your website, you look at land, apartment, right? You want them to find your website up, not down. True or not true? Right? If your website goes down in the middle of the night, how are you going to do it? Someone have called you, a customer called you, complaining, yes, no? Well, the beauty of the cloud is that the monitoring and the notification can be built into your website so that if it faces challenges, let's say you have a Black Friday sale, all this traffic hitting your website, there are technologies that will enable what is known as high availability. Okay. If one server is not enough to meet the demand, another server will expand up. Customers will not experience any performance issue. To them, the website is performing just okay. With technology in the background that is making things work at optimum. So, in a nutshell, what we do is make sure you have peace of mind. You focus on your business. You make sure your data is secure. You make sure your service is available. You make sure your services perform optimally.
I have a question. All that sounds good, but we want to know about the dollar amount. So maybe it costs more than where you're currently hosting, because a lot of these people here, like you say, have websites and they are hosting with different companies, GoDaddy hosts, GitHub, Blue hosts, whoever is out there. And I've seen where businesses sometimes are looking for where they pay less. I know there's more to that, because the less you pay, maybe the more less storage you have, then you pay less, and a month later, your website can't handle the traffic. They are telling you now you need to move from this package over here and over to the next. Does AWS have stuff like that, or how the payments over there?
I'm glad you brought up the issue because AWS have what is called free-tier pricing. For the first year, you can run your website on the cloud at low cost. During that year, you're putting your concept. just business, viable, you can run. So for that first year, you can run your website on a free tier. Right, so you're not paying for anything. That you cannot get with Google, you cannot get with viewers. The other aspect is pricing. When you're looking for cheap dollar amounts, you have to be very careful. What you get with the GoDaddy and those other third-party providers is what is known as shared hosting. So shared hosting, imagine if you're going to Mombasa for your vacation, right? You want to go in a bus with 100 people, right? The bus has 2 stops between Nairobi and Mombasa. You have no control of when the bus stops, when it goes, right? Or you want to go in your own car, where you determine when to stop, when to take a break. Yeah. So control is the issue, it's the key word here. When you're in shared hosting, you're in that bus with 100 people. When it stops at Voi or in Machakos, that's your only stop. You cannot tell the driver, stop, I need to go out and get some water or whatever it is. Okay. That's shared hosting. That's why it's cheap, because you're all grouped on a server, and no one can say, hey, I need to reboot the server. Yeah. No one can do that. But when you're in the cloud, you get your own machine. You can stop it, start it, you can upgrade it, whatever you want to do. So be careful.
I have a question on that. If you're shared hosting with a bunch of other people,
Yeah.
what happens if, can one of the other people bring your website down? Because I've had them say, oh, I don't know, something you need to be moved. Can me being hacked affect other people who are sharing with me if I'm hacked?
Most likely. Yeah, it can happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we should all not be doing shared hosting.
Yeah,
Okay.
that much I think. And anyway, AWS hosting is not expensive. Yeah, I'll tell you, it's not expensive at all. And the pricing model in the cloud is you pay for what you use. It's called the pay-as-you-go model. If you, let's say, for example, you turn off that stuff, like you switch off these lights, yeah? The energy company will going to charge you when your lights are off. That's the same thing in the cloud. If you turn off your resources, you're not getting the bill.
All right, thank you. So we're gonna go back to you and the solar system. So you did a very good job explaining to us what solar does and all that. And what we want to know is how can we afford to fund such a project? I'm sure it's not $100. Talk about funding and also tell us why we should use your company, because I'm sure there are other competitors out there. So why your company and how do we fund the project?
Thank you. And let me just start by saying I'm really grateful for all the tech expertise. Solar energy and its use in the home would not be possible without a process of technological advancement to engineer the panels, have softwares that track their performance and tracking just how well it's doing during its lifespan. So thank you all. To answer your question in terms of funding, so I started by saying that, you know, when we are talking about savings, we should really be thinking about 2 types of savings. There's the cost savings, and then there's the actual savings. So the actual savings is the money you're basically putting aside after you've spent all the necessary, you've made all of the necessary expenses. Cost savings is really actually looking at your expenses and looking for ways to reduce those expenses. With solar, that's what you're trying to do. So you're looking at your electricity bill as a cost and seeing best way to reduce that. So that's shielding it from time in terms of the harmful effect compounding can have on it. And we talked about inflation and the cost of the grid. Now, how do you go about that? So when we sit down with you, normally we will look at your consumption. We will evaluate your consumption needs. We will evaluate your roof. We will check that your roof actually is good for solar, because not all roofs are created equal, and not all roofs have the perfect exposure to the sun. And then what we will do is we will design a system to check that the system is compensating for your current consumption 100% at the minimum. Then there's the additional, maybe you want to buy more appliances that are electronic. Maybe you want to transition your gas heater to electric. We will look at all of that. Once we determine the size of the system you need, then we will also walk you through the options that are available. So there are two, maybe three main options available. And then the big one is the government incentive that actually you are eligible for to reduce the cost of that system. So you can finance a system. There are solar loans with favorable terms that you can use to finance the system. You can also lease the system if you feel, and a lease is the best alternative. That too is really on a case-by-case basis. It's not a solution for everyone. You can lease the system. The other one is to just buy it outright, if that makes sense, if the system is small enough and that's what you want to do. The big one I want to talk about is the government incentive you get. So bringing me back to that cost savings aspect, you are eligible for a 30% tax credit from the federal government when you go solar. And that 30% includes the cost of going solar. So if you changed your roof in the process of going solar, if you had to upgrade your electric panel in the process of going solar, any changes you had to make to go solar is inclusive of that 30% tax credit. Meaning if you spend 10,000 on your roof, 30% of that is eligible for the tax credit. Now, and what we normally would do is once we have estimated the system cost, we give you the most applicable financing solution, and then show you the numbers in terms of what that looks like after we apply the tax credit. Now, depending on what state you're in, for example, the additional state credits that go with this. So there's the 30% federal tax credit, and then there's state level incentives. This differs widely from state to state. So we'll walk you through what that looks like. In New Jersey, it's a 15-year credit that you can take advantage of. In New York, there are a few other state incentives. Similarly, in Delaware, Pennsylvania, really it depends on where you are. The key thing though is to actually sit down, do the numbers, and see where you come out in terms of the savings, and then lock that in. The reason I say that is because one of the key reasons we have the incentive structure in place is to increase adoption. Now, the rate of adoption in the US is increasing to the liking of policymakers, which makes the funding of that incentive program likely to expire sooner than we would like. So what I mean by that is, for example, in California, when you go solar in California, you used to be paid for sending all your excess production to the grid. California now has reached peak adoption in terms of policy, and instead of incentivizing people to go solar, it's actually requiring them to go solar. So they're not being paid for the excess production. Actually, they're being forced essentially to have batteries to store the excess. So that's what I would say in terms of when you're looking into this and thinking about like next steps, is to really think about what is available or what's on the table for me right now and trying to maximize that.
All right, just quick question follow up. Is there monthly maintenance to the panels?
No, they're manufactured to withstand all types of weather conditions. The equipment comes with 25-year warranty. Similarly for the workmanship. So if anything is wrong with your solar panel, we'll give you an app and where you can monitor the production of your system, and in case of anything, we should be able to see how it's doing.
Thank you so much. Madonna, tell us why your company, if I'm sure there is maybe a few other people doing what you do. So why would these business owners come consulting with you? And also, what advice would you give to your younger self?
I like the second one. Well, can you hear me? Okay, it's better. I consider myself young, so I'm not going to do myself doing that. But I think if there was any advice I would give my younger self is just persevere, don't give up. I think to me that's very vital because most of the time we quit pretty quickly when things don't go the way we expect them to go. And I feel like most of us here have experienced that. But that's life, right? There's always going to be the ups and downs and things not working, things working. I think it's knowing the mood that, hey, it's not working now, it's going to work tomorrow. And just learning to rewire our thoughts all the time. I think I share this a lot, that, hey, it's in our mindset. I know when I say that, it sounds like it's very easy, but it's not. But it's something that we can all learn and practice. Now, why my company? I do consulting, like I mentioned, and most of the thing when people reach out to me, for instance, this company in New York, in crypto, and they reached out to me, is more of my expertise because I'm already an expert. So it becomes easier for me to tell people like, hey, this is why you would need it, maybe an app, and this is why maybe you would not need it. And also for the website, it's much easier where I just tell you like, hey, I think maybe having a WordPress makes sense, and like developing like a developer's website where you have engineers code this, because who's going to maintain that? But if your company is very small where you can just manage this by yourself, it's easy for me to tell, hey, you can actually just have this built in WordPress, and then we offer those services too. Just creating that employment back home, because I've seen in American, because I work in tech, we have many outsourcing companies, and we see people giving jobs to Ukrainians or let's say Philippines or every other part of the world. And I would like to see more Kenyans get the jobs. Do we have that one? Yeah, I would like to see more Kenyans get the jobs because hey, we are very talented too. So bridging that gap, I ensure that's what I do. I'm in real estate, so that's what I'm doing at Excellence, which is a company where we're creating a real estate solution here in America. but that's different from what I do personally. Now, I decided to do that personally because, again, after you travel to so many places and events, you're like, people want to pay you extra, and you're like, the government is going to start following you. So you need an LLC or a company to put through the money where you're like, hey, this is consulting work that I've done. Now, I had some tips that I wanted to offer to everybody that has a business, and that's going to be in AI, because most of us here have maybe a part of this term. A couple of key points that I want to mention is how you can utilize this for your own businesses is definitely content marketing, number one, and also just the managing of flows. For content marketing, you can now use either ChatGPT or Gemini, which I'm a tester, to easily create content for your company that you don't have to think about. I don't want to say that, we're taking those jobs away, but it's here, it's happening. Right now, you can just sit down and create your the media. Every company needs a social media. And how do you bring people in? You have to talk to your customers. So utilizing things like ChatGPT to help you generate that content is very important. And I use Notion. I don't know, how many of us here know Notion? Okay, there we go, one person or two people. So Notion is very good. It's like for maintaining your own company stuff where you can put on analytics, data, and it uses the AI too, like the AI tool to help you like keep tracks of how are you doing as a business? What is your income, And you can lock all the, let's say, pages. So it's an easy documentation site for those who like documentation. I like documentation because I'm a software engineer, but even businesses need that because how do you track that? So I would highly recommend looking into the tools that are out there right now to just help us with our businesses, especially scheduling, content marketing. There's chatbots now where you can integrate on your own websites to respond to people. And you don't lose customers. And I know most of us here don't want to lose the customers. And then there's others like, let's say, where you want to, let's say, create, there's a no code too. I like to mention the no code too, but I find the no code to be a little bit limiting because there's not as much as you can do as compared to when you go full code. But before you do that, always reach out to a consultant and ask, do you think my website or my application really needs an app? Because you don't want to invest on that process and then you realize you don't have any client that will use it. So I would highly recommend before you do that, look into PWA, which is the Progressive Web Apps, which you can even use still on your phone, but don't have to build or invest in building an application using either Flutter or Kotlin or platform before even under an iOS native. Yeah. Hopefully somebody has taken some tips.
Awesome. I'm so happy you talked about AI because a couple of months ago, I paid somebody $50 to do, I think it was 45 seconds voiceover. And I paid, my daughter come home at 17, she's like, Mommy, why you pay this guy $50? I'm like, I needed a voiceover. Oh, you can do that for free. I'm like, how? She said, AI. I'm like, I don't know how to use it. She said, watch. She goes on the computer. She said, give me the script. I gave her the script. She put it in and had all these men, women voices, which one you want, and boom. I was like, what? So I think that's also tell us, I don't know, whatever we do, I guess we need to have these plan Bs and backup plans because for sure AI jobs are being taken away from people. So we should also be positioned whereby, because now that's somebody who does voiceover who won't be getting my business anymore, unfortunately, because why pay $50 when I can get the same service for free? So we have to keep up with the technology. So we are not stuck on what we were doing 10 years ago and everybody else is moving ahead of us. So I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, I feel like companies, if you look at companies, like I'm going to give you the example, BlackBerry, I feel like they failed because they did not move fast. Yes, it's changing. So I feel like what we need to do here today, what you are learning is that if you leave out, if your company, you're doing something and people are changing, try to see how you can actually adapt to it. And people are resistant to change. There are people like that who are like, no, it's not good, I don't want to try. No. At the end of the day, you don't want to be like BlackBerry if you have business. Yeah. So adapt and use. And like you mentioned, there are the job is lost, you know? I mean, they have to find a way actually, really quick. They can even sell, actually, they can sell their voice in today.
Oh, okay, that's another way of doing it.
Exactly, yeah. Exactly.
Oh, it could be, actually, the person used AI, which is the same thing I could have. So that is awesome, awesome. Those are some good tips. Mr. Kennedy, talk to us about Hawaii, your company, and also any additional tips that you would like to offer our audience this afternoon.
All right, thank you. So why Wema DevOps? So as MP mentioned, at Wema DevOps, we train students, we train those that do not have any IT background, right? Any IT background. We are able to help you, teach you from the basics to you become either what you call an infrastructure engineer, you can become a platform engineer, you can become a cloud engineer. We have a lot of jobs there. Now, one of the motivations that you can have to get into DevOps is just because of the money. It pays well. If you go into any job sites and just search for DevOps jobs, right? You will see salary range from 130,000 to 200,000, depending on the area of their specialty. So there is money out there that companies are willing to invest, right? They are willing to invest. Now, why Wema DevOps? We actually take you through the entire DevOps curriculum. We will teach you from the very basics, and we will teach you all tools. It is like we are taking you in a buffet, whereby we are giving you all these options, right? Now, with all those options, by the end of the program, our program runs for 6 months. We have 5 months of intensive training. Then we have the last month with the bootcamp, whereby we build over all the projects that we've done, that help you with the resume, LinkedIn profiling and all that. But when you look at the menu of the tools that we're equipping you with, you have a choice. So by the end of the program, you can choose to apply for just to be a cloud engineer, like work with AWS, right? Because we are taking you through that. You can go with Azure, Microsoft Azure, we will teach you that. You can decide to work on a platform. We have like Kubernetes, we teach you that. So you can choose and say, I just like working with this tool, and therefore this is what I'm going to stick with. But what Wema DevOps does is that we presented you and we've taught you everything, and we are trying to reduce your wait time so that once you start interviewing, you have an option of the job that you can do. Now, another thing that I'll encourage you when you look at government jobs for those that are able to get security clearance, we have a lot of government jobs out there. DevOps engineering jobs, software engineering jobs. So if you are thinking of going the route on IT, whatever kind of IT, and you are able to get a security clearance, then again, you are guaranteed you have a lot of job security and all that. So that is just what I'll encourage you now. Tips, when you come to Wema DevOps, she mentioned about Notion, we will teach you that, right? So that's why we really want you to join us. Actually, we have a next class starting this coming Wednesday. Wednesday tonight, we have a class that is going to start running until November.
Awesome. You guys make sure you get their contacts so that if you or maybe your kids or somebody you know, they don't have to be here in America, they can be back home, they can enroll in some of these classes. And they are virtual, they are online, so it doesn't matter where you are located. So thank you so much. Michael, talk to us about EasyTech. Why EasyTech Consulting, and why are you better than your competitors? And also a couple of tips to the business owners.
Oh, okay. I don't know whether we're better than our competitors. I think IT is so broad. It covers so much. And pretty much you can start IT in different areas, like there's what we call project management. there's business analysts, there's developers, there's testers, there's production support. Pretty much when you hear of an IT project, let's say, for example, a company wants to, say, for example, introduce a new credit card to the market, because, the bank has thought that this is a good thing for us to make money from. And they may probably have about $10 million or something like that to do, to start a project like that. There is a lot of money goes to decision making, even before it gets to the programmers. So when we say about IT, don't always think that someone is actually behind the computer just programming. There's a lot of decisions that goes there, because as a corporate, you don't want to use all that money and then you don't reach your target of where you want to go. So usually, you want to get into IT, you can even get into it through project management. Is this project viable? Do we have other options out there? Are we ready? Do we have the right infrastructures? So that's why IT, when we think about it, think about it as an everyday business that we're doing every day today. And because that's how really companies, of course, have to look at it as something that is going to add value and be able to be profitable to it. And so for us, in my position when I train in a way where you're going to fit somewhere within that whole ecosystem of IT, because it's broad, because for us, as far as what we call testing, is we are at the very end of the whole budget, in such a way that now this product is ready to be used by the consumer now, but we're going to have to make sure that it's ready. So that's why the occupied space, and I think, and that's where a little bit of, especially our young people, because for us, we can stand here on the panel and we have used some of these products for 10, 15 years. But as long as our young people are not kind of following the steps behind, it's still not have done enough. And so that's why, we cannot do this. And I think because right now you can see even our president, Kenya, is going around the country trying to promote technology. And the reason is because that's the only way, or one of the ways, I'm not saying the only way, we will get our young people into the job market. There's a saying in our company, in my group that I work for Bank of New York Bell, is you don't want to be what's called dinosaurs in the industry. That we do not leave the light, knowledge behind for the next generation. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And my final question goes to you, Mr. Karemi. Why Karemi Consulting, and what tips would you give them?
Okay. So why Karemi Consulting? My personal value, which also reflected in the company, is that we look at food. I want the best for my customer. Okay, yeah. My personal value is that I want the best for my customer. Okay. If you migrate to the cloud, if you say, I want to set up my website on the cloud, that's just one aspect. There are many other aspects to it. And it is my professional duty to let you know about it. There are some people who they say, okay, you pay me X amount of dollars to move your site to the cloud. You pay me, our transaction is over, good luck. My personal value is that I have to educate you and I have to let you know about other things that you will not afford. Disaster recovery being one of them. The main customers who are operating on a single server on the cloud, right? Single server is a danger. If that server goes down, the whole business is lost. In addition to that, many customers do not have backups. If that same server goes down, then your business is lost. All the blood, sweat, and tears that you put into your business can go down in a few seconds. So it's up to me as a professional to warn you about those things. In addition to the one single transaction that you contracted me for, it's my duty to tell you about all of them. So that's why you should come to Kareli Consulting.
Do you do the backup for them, or do you teach them how to do the backup for themselves?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. Give it up to our panel.
Can I give a tip?
Yes.
The tip actually is to the younger people, folks, the youth. Work harder on yourself than on your job. Okay. So many of you may have heard that quote. It's from Jambo, I believe. Yeah. Work harder on yourself than on your job. I wish someone had told me that when I was in my 20s. Because, yeah, it makes a difference. So if you have a skill, there's a lady who sang the anthem here yesterday. Please, you work on that. Go out and get a job, yes, but work on that. Yeah, thank you.
We had promised the audience that we have 5 minutes for them to ask them questions. No? Are we out of time? We have people raising hands. Give us 5 minutes. All right. One boy.
Yes, thank you. Mr.
Do we have a?
I can speak loud. I'm really loud. Okay, thank you. Thank you, all of you. Thank you so much for that informative conversation. Mr. Kareli, I have a question for you. Maybe it's not going to. So does AWS, do they offer services, storage services like Dropbox? Because I have used Dropbox and I would like to know about how AWS would help with that.
Dropbox is actually built on an AWS service called S3.
Okay.
Right? Yeah, AWS offers a storage service called S3.
Okay.
It's very secure, it's very reliable, it's very durable. Even this uses S3.
I
Yeah.
just wondered.
You don't have the one.
But they want.
Yes. So it's extremely secure, extremely durable. I think the 11 nines we have of that means that 99.99999% durability.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I think out of 10,000 objects or files, you may only use one. If
I
at
think
all.
that one is the one that's most important. My title.
Yeah, but remember, it's three. Let me just go a bit in detail.
Yeah.
One is, okay. The way S3 works, your data is stored in multiple regions.
Oh,
Yeah, so think of there being a data center in New York, in Newark, and in Washington. Your data, there are 3 copies, there are multiple copies.
yes.
Yeah, so if there's a big flood in New York, your data is still in Washington. Yeah, it's very unlikely that there'll be a disaster in all 3 locations.
Right, right. Thank you. I like that analogy. Thank you. Patrick?
Thank you. Thank you and good afternoon. Thank you, panel, for all that very good information. And my questions actually was to maybe accept the first thing we're doing there as the solid panel. And this is my question. Before I say that, Kenya is not a simple savannah. I mean, we have a lot of programmers and people in IT that are very, very well, and they're still talented. Then you guys talked about this job being outsourced to India, Ukraine, and all the other places. How do we tap into those jobs so that we can give Kenyans some work to do, and we can upgrade their So that's my question. To whoever, at least two people can share that for that.
I can go because I mentioned it. I think that's a very good call out, and it's something that I've noticed too. And I think back in the days, there was something called Andela. And Andela's main initiative was to do that, to connect Africans with their American jobs. Now, I really followed, and I don't know what happened to Andela, like it's no longer like in the region. So I feel like we failed where we couldn't deliver as much. Like, I'm not part of Andela, but I feel like we really did fail like where we couldn't deliver. The other challenge I feel like that has been is being in the software industry for over a decade is it does take the trust. And I feel like we've not marketed ourselves where we're like, hey, we actually have developers, we can do this because for you, what happens even in the company I'm working for, we're outsourcing to Ukraine, which is why I'm trying to push that, hey, look, Kenyans also have developers that we can do. So I feel like if you're there thinking about this, it's a startup idea. I know I can't do everything, but that's a startup idea that I can throw out there, but definitely we need, I can do it. So there's so many jobs, there's a lot of work that our people back home can do. Now, there's this one also that went around that I think it was called remotely. And I think many Kenyans really wanted to get in, but the process of getting in was a problem where I think I learned that people are trying to get other Kenyans that are living here, the social security number, and that's not safe. So I think if we can do it the safe way, I see a big potential. So definitely something that people can collaborate and work on. Now, myself as somebody who's spoken to many places, I can definitely outsource that. Like, let's say my company gets more, that's what I do. I give people back in Kenya work. So I would definitely encourage, if you have a job or use companies that are doing that, leveraging that, the people back in Kenya, don't use Indians. It's funny, there's some Kenyans that I met too that say, actually, people that build my website are from India. I'm like, really? Why not Kenya? And then they're like, they did see a company that does that. So definitely a startup idea for people here. If you're listening, like I said, I can do everything by myself, but definitely we need to tap into them again because you're right. We have a lot of talent that definitely needs to get this job. And sorry to take this longer, but there's another. I've also noticed Germany is real because I went to Germany last year, and Germany is really hiring many Africans, mostly from Kenya. So definitely, it doesn't have to be only in America. These jobs can be outsourced from, like, say, Germany or London or Spain or Sweden. I even have a couple of women that I mentored through Women in Code that got jobs, work from Kenya, but got jobs in Sweden. So definitely that's an opportunity. We just need to come together and help each other out. So stand back.
Any more? I just had a bit. Okay, I have a question. I think I don't see any hands being raised. My question is directed to the two IT gentlemen. Thank you so much for your presentation, Mike. I'm noticing a lot of guys who are coming up and setting up their platforms, and they're training a lot of people online, especially in cybersecurity and other IT skills. Have you guys set up a platform like my brother Mike, where Kenyans can access that platform and people can be trained? They can come in with their laptop. They can sit in a training where you can train them either on Zoom or whatever platform you have. I think that's very effective. There's a young Nigerian guy that is just doing so well in cybersecurity, and I attended one of his trainings, and I think he can't even handle the traffic that is coming to his platform. So maybe that question is for you guys.
Yeah, I think even Kenyans all over the country, they're doing different trainings. I know quite a few all over the country. It's only that we're not in one platform. And maybe that's something that's a good question. That's something that maybe we can look into that way, because not everybody will be interested with the same product. And like you said, cybersecurity is actually something that I talked with my developers too. And that's something we are thinking we're going to, because we have seen that gap in it. So I think we are, we are on our way there. And also, even expanding to what Patrick was saying about Kenyans in IT, Kenyans are not sleeping on the job. I can tell you that for a fact. I was in Kenya 2 months ago, and I know they're not. You know, they're in AI, they somehow figure it out, and that's the beauty about it. Even me, as a government, they're trying to promote it. Those young people are not sleeping. Thank you.
Right, thank you so very much. And if you guys have further questions, I still see hands up. I guess time is up. Do you have one more person? No? Okay, I suggest that you get their contacts and you can ask them the questions that you have. Sorry, guys, we have to be on time because, of course, this place is, maybe we should have our own hotel so that in future we can have our own Kenyan hotel where we do our events. We don't have to worry about time. All right, thank you so much. Give it up again for the panel.
And maybe next time we'll keep time too, right? As Kenyans, right? That's something we also need to think about. Anyway, let's first give please our moderator, Liz Kenyaria of the Diaspora Connect, and Mr. Karemi. Oh, thank you, Mr. Munyere, that is our president's husband. So thank you, and Mr. Kennedy, and where's Madonna? All the way from New York. You came so early and we appreciate you. How about Amira from Hibadi? Let's appreciate them. Thank you. That was awesome. So now, sorry, we could not take more questions, but if you send us questions, we will definitely forward them to the right people. So, and we appreciate all of you. But like Lee said, we have other things going on today. And so we will transition to the next thing. And so our next panel is about import and export. And I know you all came excited to learn about it. So I also want to welcome our viewers who are watching us online. So welcome. So are you ready, Mr. Marbury? It is your time. Come call your people and let's do this and give them a round of applause as they come. And thank you. So here is our next panel, and then we will conclude.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're very welcome to this panel presentation by one of the most distinguished panels ever put together from Kenya and brought here to the United States. And before we begin, I would like to actually ask us to appreciate Jambo for this achievement, because this is not a small achievement. So at this point, I will ask our panelists to introduce themselves. 1 minute, 2 minutes each, give what they do within the supply chain import-export process. And I will begin from that end and then come this way.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is S. Sangari. I'm the Managing Director for Kenya Bureau of Standards. So we are the National Bureau of Standards, and basically what we do is we normally do standards development, harmonization of standards, that then facilitate trade or help to facilitate trade in the country for those who are trading internally and even those who are sending their product out of the country. We also do product certification, and we are the national inquiry point for Kenya for the WTO members.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Floyd Mukabana. I am the CEO for Kenya Export Promotion and Marketing Agency, the agency that has been mandated to undertake activities within export promotion and nation branding. In our role and the goals that we have set for us as part of our midterm expenditure framework for the fourth one is to ensure that we're able to grow export growth at a rate of 10.75% annually, so that by the year 2028, the contribution to exports to GDP is at around 28%. And we also have another goal to ensure that as a country, our nation brand is ranked among the top 50 brands in the country. So how do we intend to do that? We want to do that by ensuring that our objective and our goal is to diversify the products that Kenya sells from, exports from Kenya are diversified from the traditional ones. We also want to diversify the markets themselves so that we move away not only from the traditional markets, but we also move towards new emerging markets and markets. As a way of ensuring that our nation brand remains strong, we have an objective of managing the economic reputation of the country through brand narrative, through ensuring positioning and association and use of brand ambassadorship to highlight what is best about Kenya and use that platform to be able to position what the other things that we most importantly, export of products and services. One of the things that Kenya is known for as a brand is the fact that we are high quality, and educated, people say youth, but I beg to differ. I say one of the Kenyan things, even as you move away from the stage to the next one, people always look at your professionalism to be of a higher grade than what is normal. So we have the youth, but continues going forward. So those are the things that as an agency, we work towards in ensuring that we push the agenda, the double agenda of export promotion and nation branding. Thank you.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My name is Florence Bentawere. I'm the Acting Managing Director for Kenya Investment Authority. First, I'd like to apologize to the team because I was supposed to be here yesterday, but due to other official duties, I was unable to join you in the investment session. So I felt it will only be fair for me to join the rest of the CEOs in this. Now, a little bit about Kenya Investment Authority. It is actually a statutory corporation under the Ministry of Investments, Trade and Industry. And its mandate is purely promoting and facilitating investments, both from local and foreign investors in Kenya. Now, we do this through 3 tools. One, we normally convene what we call investment missions, both outbound and inbound, in collaboration with either Foreign Affairs or our sister agencies. Number 2, when you come into Kenya as an investor, we ensure that we handhold you to establish your business, and after some time, give you some aftercare services to ensure that any bottlenecks that you encounter, either at your level of the county level or whatever, we're able to escalate it to what we call a green channel facilitation mechanism. And number 3, you know that when it comes to informed decision making, you require data. So we also collect data that is going to inform investment decisions in the country. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Richard Onelli.
I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the Exports Processing Zones Authority, which is equally a government agency in the Republic of Kenya and the Ministry of Investments, Trade and Industry. And we established by an Act of Parliament, CAP 517 of 1990. And our mandate is to establish and promote export-oriented investments. So basically what we do is that we promote conducive environment to enable investors to operate within licensed public zones and also private zones that are gazetted by the government. So we provide conducive environment through issuance of licenses, necessary licenses to operate within the incentivized zones. We also ensure that we facilitate investors within the zone to enable them import their raw materials that forms part of the imports into the country. We also facilitate the exports from the country, especially outside the EAC bloc. So basically, our target destination is outside the East African Community bloc. So we promote exports of products and services outside EAC bloc. We encourage imports through for the purpose of value addition and processing within the zone. So basically, we administer the zones on behalf of the government. We ensure that the zones operate in compliance with necessary laws. We push exports. Our mandate again is to ensure that we, as much as possible, promote exports outside from the zones. And by doing so, we have an extended mandate in terms of ensuring that we create as much as possible employment opportunities for our people. So we create employment opportunities both directly through companies that we set up within the zone. We also support linkages, that is indirect employment opportunities for our people. So it is a complete ecosystem in terms of really ensuring that the products from the zone are produced and exported in a manner that is seamless and therefore promoting the export of the government of the Republic of Kenya. Thank you very much. I will just do one follow-up question to each one of you. I'm going to start with Ms. Floyce Mokabana. You said the intention is to get to 10.7% to 10.75% of GDP. I'd like to know whether there is any activities that are actually going on in that direction that would be of interest to the diaspora.
Thank you very much. First of all, a correction, it's 10.75% annual growth year to year on exports. And now to cut to your question, where the focus is the participation of diaspora, I'd like to take this opportunity then, first of all, to just appreciate the important role that diaspora plays. Diasporans are people who have got ties to two countries. They have ties to their home country and they have ties to their country of residence. Those ties enable them to have some insights that might not be obvious to the rest of us who are on one leg or the other, in terms of their markets, the market insights, in terms of tastes and preferences that are available in the country where they are resident, in terms of skills transfer, in terms of regulatory activity and regulatory legal background that they need to undertake when it comes to exports. So they remain a very important brand ambassador when it comes to pushing exports. At this juncture, even before I answer, maybe just to show you how that relationship leads to market access opportunities. I want to give the example of a young gentleman who runs North Rift Solutions, that is the seller for acacia honey. Those of us who have tried to export honey from Kenya, even we as the export promotion and branding agency know, we've always had an issue about standardization. The standards are, first of all, the international standards. The main issue is always that there's never been a globally accredited laboratory that will allow for you to have the honey tested to global standards and accepted. But this gentleman who I met him in Atlanta. What he did is that he partnered with the US university that deals with food science. So they did for him all the matrix, and he was able to get the access that he needed. So he knew what was required, and he was able to use the channels available. And because of that, he's able to export 5 tons of honey from Keio Valley. And we are seeing that as an opportunity for him even to change the face of North Rift. And that's now an example of how diaspora is used to be able to get market access into the country. Having said that, now what are the programs do we do, and how can the diaspora leverage on the same? So when it comes to exports in any market, the things that we as Keproba do is to ensure, first of all, that through product development and our enterprise development services, that you have a product that is of international standard and it is globally competitive. We also like to ensure that as an exporter, you are aware of the international rules and regulations. So we have a product development and enterprise development program with that background, and also majoring in branding. Because one of the things that you'll always hear, and which is basically the Kenyan story, whatever products we have, is that our positioning and our branding makes us leave money on the table. A case in point is our tea and coffee. It's actually the best. But the people who reap most from that are those who are, because we sell in bulk and non-value added, are those who pick it, the coffee, they roast it, they brand it as Kenyan, or use it they upgrade their already less quality coffee, so that at the end of the day, the money that we get, when you look through the value chain, most of it is lost because of not branding it well, not positioning it well, not value adding it. So that's the other area that product development, that is the discussion that product development wants to do. The other thing is about one of the project programs we do is on research. We try and get, for you to be able to penetrate the market and actually make an impact of it, you need to be able to have done research not only on tastes and preferences and regulatory and legal requirements, but also just in terms of supply and demand, whether we as a country are able to service the new markets that we have of the products, and if not, what are the solutions? Should we then aggregate, because no one single person can be able to supply that market, and what are the opportunities around? So there is the market research bit. And generally, and one of the areas that we want to do, we also want to democratize exports. If you notice, when you're talking about power, it means then you can only do it either as a big exporter or through aggregation, either as a cooperative or as HDA or through agreement. So there's a level where you can also be able to democratize exports through the use of e-commerce. That's the other place that we want to be. And as a problem, we have a platform that allows you at your space and at your time, and with a product that is of global importance, allows you to be able to work with exports from whatever stage you are, instead of having to take bulk orders that are not able to be done. So generally, those are the things that we do. And in each one of them, I see a space in which diaspora can play. In terms of technology transfer, in terms of skills management, in terms of giving us the insights, everything about it, in terms of giving us branding solutions, there's a space for diaspora in every one of those stages. So at that point, I just want to leave that.
That is excellent. Madam Esther, something came up over there about standards, and I think that is your area of competence. Would you like to add something about that lack of a global place where we can all have our standards taken care of, and how we are fixing?
Thank you very much. Before I get to that, I want also to speak about the competitive advantage the diasporian have. maybe over that person who is trying to access this market. One of the things, and Chris has spoken to it, is that when you are in this market, you have a better view of what the market requires. Because you find majority of the time, the market is the one that demands what you want. So you want to bring a product from Kenya and you have realized this is the market where I want to bring the product. So you understand clearly what the market requires. You also have a better grip of the requirements by the authorities within the country where you are shipping product to. So when it comes to standards, and majority of the time, the standard requirement for a product is determined by the market where the product is going. So we have the Kenyan products which we are developing in the country. We, majority of the times, want to match with the international standards. And the reason why we want to do that is to make sure that even as the products are accepted in our country, they are also accepted elsewhere. And another market requiring the same product, then there may not be a requirement for much changes to the product. So we do the standards for the Kenyan standards, we match them with the international standards as much as possible. We try as much as possible also to adopt the international standards, that the ISO standards, the IC standards for different products. And we have also been working a lot towards harmonization of standards, and especially the South African standards and the African standards, to make sure that you have a standard that is acceptable, where you have the same standard, the same certification, and the product is accepted, especially in Africa. But then when it comes to the standards may be required here in the US, because we are looking at both markets. When it comes to the standards which are required here, we have not gotten to that level of harmonizing our standards with the US market standards. But because of that adoption of international standards, there is majority of the products you will be, once, as long as you're able to meet the Kenyan standard, then they are almost equivalent, but there are, of course, some instances or some specific products where the standards are a bit different. But majority of the time, as long as you're able to meet the Kenyan standard, then the product is likely to be accepted here. But of course, there are regulations which are different depending on the products that you want to ship.
I have a follow-up question for that. If, let's say, for instance, I discover a product in Houston, that a product that is in Kenya that is wanted in Houston, and there's no existing standard, how long will it take before we would be able to standardize or come up with a standard that would allow me to import those items from Kenya?
Now, if there's a product that is required by Houston market, remember the standard that will be able to bring that product has to be an American standard,
Yes.
and not a Kenyan standard. So I may not be in a position to indicate how long it will take, because then it is the authorities here who develop the product. The difference we have is that in Kenya, we do standards development at the National Standards Body. Here it's a bit different, because standards are developed by the private sector. And then we have now the ANSI, which is the National Standards Body, just manages the whole process. But the structures are completely different from what we have. So I may not be in a position to say how long that will take, but I believe even where a standard does not exist, like for example, what we do in Kenya, because of the innovation aspect of the different standard of the different products people are innovating, where a standard does not exist, we go to the next level. We have an international standard for the same product. If you don't have, you have a national standard. If you don't have, then you then go to the manufacturer specifications and you're able to trade with the product as the process of standards development happens. So that is the practice we have.
Thank you very much. Ms. Florence, the same question applied to Invest. not standards. The previous question, we had talked about the opportunities for diasporas. Yes.
Thank you very much. Now, at Ken Invest, what we do is we have a set of projects, we call them bankable opportunities. Now, these are opportunities that have been identified by the technical team at Ken Invest. And it shows an array of sectoral projects and focusing on the better priority sectors, that is under agriculture. We have MSMEs, micro, small, and medium enterprises. We also have under affordable housing, we have health, and we have now the new kid on the block, the digital, exactly. So when you come at Ken Invest as a diasporan, the first thing we want to do is assess your needs. Because there are those people who come, for example, and say they already have a structured kind of project, and all they want is a plug and play kind of situation. So in that case, we first assess what is the capital worth of that self-structured project. If it is anything below $5 million, then we facilitate you to establish, we can hold you to actually establish your business at our One Start One Go Center. Now, our One Start One Go Center is a one-stop shop where we have seconded officers from different ministries and agencies, which are key in ensure establishment of businesses. So we have officers from the Kenya Revenue Authority who are going to grant you tax advisory. We have an officer from the Business Registration Service who are supposed to ensure that your company is actually registered. We have an officer from Kenya Power who is supposed to ensure that in case you have any needs of power, you are actually connected to power. And apart from that, we work closely with our sister agencies, that is the export processing zones and the special economic zones, just in case you want an already available platform for you to plug and play. So when you have what we call a private sector kind of project, now we have a public-private partnership framework in Kenya. So first place we are going to take you is the National Treasury, because when it is a PPP kind of project, you can only be able to get first the green light from the National Treasury. So once National Treasury gives you the go ahead, then we can facilitate you again at the One Start One Go Center. And if at all your capital outlay is more than the $5 billion, say between 5 to 50, we actually can initiate a meeting between yourself and our cabinet secretary, so that in case you want any customized incentive, then the cabinet secretary will actually talk to the counterpart in the National Treasury so that you get customized incentives. Now, we also have a new kid on the block, the National Investment Council. This is a council that is chaired by His Excellency the President, and our cabinet secretary is the secretary to that committee. So the NIC, in short, is a consortium of both public and private sector. So this is where the dialogue on matters that affect an investor. So His Excellency the President gazetted 12 private sector members, and this actually kickstarted the operationalization of the same. So in case your capital outlay now is more than $50 US, you actually can sit on the table in the National Investment Council and get customized incentives on the same. So as the diaspora, Kenya is open for business. The government is serious on matters investment.
Thank you very much. I think that requires at least a hand, and I'll tell you after we give our hand. The reason is, how many people in the audience knew that you can actually go on a website and get your power connected, and your invest everything, the whole supply chain taken care of? Anybody who knew can invest does that, who doesn't work for the government? Yeah? That's news. And if it's news to Raf, Raf is the immediate former president of the Kenya USA Diaspora Circle, a person who engages directly with people in Kenya. If Raf didn't know that, then it means what you have brought is of indeed great value, and we are very grateful. Another hand, please. Mkiongozi wa madam. Mr. EPZ, let's go.
Thank you so much. First, let me.
Sorry, it's Mr. Richard Omelu. His name is, he's the CEO of EPZ. That's a level of familiarity that's not acceptable here. Outside there, maybe. Please, I apologize.
No worries. Thank you so much. So I want to bring out the incentive systems being the export process authority or EPZ program. As an investor, we have specific incentives within the zones. One, for the investments within the zone, you enjoy a corporate tax holiday for the first 10 years. Then the next 10 years, the corporate tax is 25%. Then after that, now the tax goes to 30%. So the first 10 years, you have a tax holiday of completely don't pay corporate tax. One. Two, as an investor within the zone, you will not be required to pay any stamp duty on any transactions completely. That's a waiver from an investor within the zone. Three, within the first 10 years, you will not be required to pay any withholding tax. Four is that as an investor within the program, you will not pay any custom duty for the raw materials you import to use within the zone. Neither will you pay VAT.
Can we have that in writing?
Yes, we have all that. Yes, you have all that. And also you have a plan. We have promotional materials distributed, which you can make reference to. Now, as the EPZ program, we are keen in terms of really supporting production systems along various value chains, ranging from agro-processing, we have pharmaceuticals, we have those in biotechnology, construction of industrial sheds, we have those in export of meat and meat products, food products. We also have those in textile and apparel, and remember this investment has also been very strong in textile and apparel. We are quite a substantial portion of it where you export into the US market. So along all these value chains, the zone or the program supports investors to really ensure that we're able to settle down quickly and be able to start operations. Now, before you start operations, we take you through an appraisal process whereby you make an inquiry, we assign you an officer who looks at your proposal at the preliminary stage. You'll be required to make a formal application to us. We have a committee, an administrative committee within EPZ that looks at your proposal in terms of how viable is it, how many people intending to support, what is the capital outlay, how much export in terms of how you like to affect export from Kenya. So once you qualify, you've taken through all this process, we give you an approval in principle, then you're required to incorporate that company formally into as a company within the republic. Now we issue the license either to operate or to set up, if you need your land to be gazetted as an expert, as an EPZ, we also facilitate you to have your land gazetted. So with this license, you'll be able to import your raw materials without customs duty. So that's a benefit that diasporans can take advantage of. Now, still within the incentive system, if you are a micro, small, and a medium enterprises, we have a special package for you. Now, even before the SAB part of it, the normal investors, for the land that because we also issue land, we can lease land to you, and we lease land at the rate of 6,000 USD per annum, per hectare. For 1 hectare, we're able to lease you at 6,000 USD. Then you only pay a service charge of 15% over and above the 6,000 per hectare, not acre, per hectare. Then you'll have a rent escalation after 2 years. Remember, that rate is far much below the market rate in Kenya, because most of us, I'm sure, interact with how we can lease land in Kenya. Again, if you are leasing an industrial shed, because remember, we've also put up sheds, industrial sheds, where you can plug and play. As a matter of fact, currently we have about 532 square feet of industrial shed. Out of the 532 and 494 square feet, 97% already has been taken by investors. We only have about 3%.
but we are constructing more within the Athi River EPZ, and also we're having flagship projects that we'll be able to talk about later. So we have 3% that have not been taken out, but 97% already out. And we are giving out these shades at the rate of 2.5 USD per square feet. And that is still, if you look at it, is an incentive. It's meant to support investors. Now, on the other side, for players who would like to be probably fall under the category of small and medium enterprises. And in this category, we are looking at an enterprise or an investor whose capital outlay is up to 40 million, which is about 305,000 USD. You're employing up to not more than 100 employees, you have less than 100. Again, you have to be Kenyan in terms of at least 75% must be local in terms of Kenya, either in form of ownership or also in terms of raw materials that you use, it must be local. So if you are under this special category, we have a special incentive within the incentive system, whereby if you are leasing our industrial shed, we will not give you a 2.5 USD per square feet, but we give it at $2 per square feet. You remember, it's far much low. We'll give you a rent, we will not pay rent for about 4 months. You have a free period where you will not pay rent for about 4 months. But again, even the escalation rate is after every 2 years, you have a 12.5% escalation. The service fee is 15%. So looking at this again, it is even more attractive for small and medium enterprises. So with that background, I believe that our colleagues, our brothers in the diaspora can take advantage of opportunities that exist at home. One, you can set up your investment in Kenya within the EPZ zone to take advantage of those facilities by virtue of your understanding of market dynamics, because from where you sit, you have an advantage of what is required in terms of the quality and quantities. Now you can feed backwards in terms of where can we get specific raw materials within the Republic of Kenya. We can support in terms of setting up your processing units within the zone to enjoy the incentives. And by also doing, we also ensure that we work close with the county government in terms of ensuring that your supply of raw materials is consistent. And what we deliberate is that we really want to impact on our producers back at home. If you're able to contract farmers, for instance, if you have a market for macadamia here in the US, you're able to work backwards in terms of how many farmers, where can you get the macadamia? How many farmers are you likely to support? And how, in terms of the pricing. Now, within the zone, we can now have a place where you can process, or if it is avocado, you're also putting up, you can put up cold rooms where you're able to store your avocado in the right quality temperatures as you find an appropriate market outside in the US or elsewhere. So all this is end to end, right from the producer back at home to logistics, local logistics back at home, to now processing within the incentivized zone. And now you're able to also look at the market. So it's right from the production part of it to value addition and up to the market. We come in as EPZA to provide support and also provide information, both to yourself and also to the producers back at home. Wow, thank you very much. That requires at least one person, a question from the audience regarding what we have just heard, because what I've just heard right now has just completely blown my mind, especially when you say 6,000 per hectare, that is just land. And you can build anything on that land. Does anyone have a question regarding? I thought so.
Allow me to stand.
And introduce yourself, it's necessary.
Before I do, I think the preamble that you set up here, when you said that this is the forum that beats them all, I think this is it. I know I'm late. I just came in from Atlanta. That's where I live. And this is the first session that I'm actually going to. I'm a resident of Atlanta. I've been in the US for 30 years. And of course, I've had interaction with many Kenyans because I'm one of the founders of the Kenya Savings Fund. I've been in the executive team since inception until last year, where I retired as a chair. so they call me the chair managers. I've had a lot of work with him in Texas, so I've been all over the country. For me, actually, my question has been answered one way or the other, but what I want to hear from them is the me now, who lives in the US, who has a farm in Kenya. And you just touched me, yes, when you talked about the avocados. I just got into avocado farming less than 3 years ago. I have a farm that has several hectares of those trees. I reaped my first crop and filled a whole van with several tons of avocado from the first produce. With a middleman who came to my farm to pick them up and went away with them. I want to cut that out. But I'm just taking advantage of the fact that I'm not in the country now to supervise that. I'm just trying to study the systems. I'm hoping by the time we walk out of here, I will have gotten a clear idea of what I'm going to be doing going forward, because it's not just the production, it's also the value addition. I'm thinking of setting up something that might actually even change the avocados from the avocados themselves into the oil. I see a lot of avocados in all the stores here. I mean, all over the US, they come from Mexico down that, from that end. There's a way we can do this. So, can you walk me and tell me up to where I've actually got it, what I need to do in terms of buying that produce and enabling it to come to this place? Just in a nutshell, although you've touched it all from what we've actually discussed. And thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, my name is Rob Kalonji.
Thank you.
And he's also a friend of mine. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that question. I want to say that avocado is one of the very important commodities that we're focusing as EPZ. As a matter of fact, we have about 2 companies who already expressed interest in setting up their plans within Earth River Zone to produce avocado oil. And we are literally supporting them. And the first question we ask in this company, where do you get your avocado from? Because they mapped out the areas in terms of geographical location from Muranga, from Kirinyaga, from some parts of Kisii. And we got interested further in terms of, do you get from smallholder farmers directly, or there's a group of farmers, or do you have associations that you source avocado from? They say yes, they use both models. They're able to get directly from the farmers, and in some cases, they buy from off-takers. And it's really unfortunate that you lost some avocado because of middlemen. I think that is an issue that's affecting production back at home. That when farmers experience such calamities, that the commodities are taken by so-called brokers. One, at very low prices, sometimes they don't pay them. It discourages many more farmers from getting into such enterprises. So those are ethical issues. It's really unfortunate that we still have some pockets of those ethical issues. However, we have opportunities to correct such unethical practices among players. So what we do is that we encourage, first of all, that we are coming down to the producers and having a candid discussion with them. Because as you're having an investor within the zone, we are going deeper to know exactly who are these farmers that are getting this avocado from. And we are doing so to protect both the investor and the producer. Both of them are equally important to us, because where a farmer is not paid, it discourages other farmers. And again, where the processor or the investor is not paying the farmers, or farmers end up selling avocado to other farmers, again, it discourages the investor. So what we are doing currently is that, one, the process that we help an investor, in this case, an avocado investor and any other investor, is that from your desire to invest in avocado value chain, we'll need to know, and for this case, to know at what level of the value chain do you want to get into. Is it at value addition? Or do you have cold room facilities that you want to store? You want to process? Yes. For which market? If the market is outside the EAC,
100% outside ESC market, that falls squarely under our program. If you want to sell it locally, we'll then be able to advise you, but for now, we are restricted to markets outside ESC market. So from that perspective, we'll then establish in terms of what do you require to be able to set up your plan. For instance, if it is a manufacturing plant or a processing plant, we'll be able to ask you in terms of what size of industrial space do you require to be able to fit your machine that you have. For instance, if it is processing, in this case, you're saying you don't want to export only, but you want to process avocado locally. So from that perspective, your description or specification of the size of the room that you require will then require you that you make a formal application to us. We have necessary application forms that you will fill. Once you fill the forms, we'll need to know exactly where you're getting avocado from. And again, at the same time, we also need to know that where do you intend to sell? Where is your market? We need to get some reference from where you want to sell your market. We are doing so that we don't get into a program, then you end up probably not having a secured market. So you also need a confirmation in terms of, do you have any orders? Who are these? And we do all background checks to ensure that indeed those orders are legit. It is important for us because once you get to the program, we do not want you to pay $2.50, then you don't operate. Again, we do not want to allocate land to you 3 months, 6 months, 1 year down the line. You are not developing the land. Because again, if the land is not being developed, it is a problem to us. Our objective is not to give you land for speculation. Our objective is to give you land so that you use it. Secondly, for the industrial space that we give you, our objective is to ensure that you optimally use the space that we've given. Because if you don't use it, you're denying somebody else the benefit of using that facility. So once you're sure that we require maybe 10,000 square meters, maybe of industrial shed, I'm using meters, both meters and square feet, then you provide your, we will require that we appraise it administratively. It goes through an appraisal appraisal process. Then once we are satisfied that your market is stable enough and your raw materials is stable enough, because again, we do not want you to set up, to use 40 million or so, set up a plan, then you end up not having adequate raw materials. Because you have instances whereby some farmers are exiting from the program because they don't have raw materials, they end up not having raw materials. So once you're okay with that, then you issue a license as a license now to, we call it an enterprise license, whereby you're able to get avocados. First of all, if you want to construct, you're able to get your materials in terms of the machines into the zone, where you don't pay duty, you get your machine to the zone using our license. Now from this license, you'll be able to get raw materials from the community, then use the raw materials, process raw materials, then be able to find a market. And maybe before you forget, apart from the Athi River zone, where we have, as I've reported, 532 square feet of industrial shed, we are expanding 532 square feet of industrial space. 532,000. Yes. 532,000 square meters of industrial space. Actually, within the same zone, we're expanding. We are putting up about 320 additional square feet of industrial shed within a river zone. This is to address the high demand for the sheds. And outside that river zone, we are also having phase 1 of the flagship projects where we are undertaking in Murang'a County, in Kirinyaga County, Uasin Gishu County, and Busia County. And in phase 1, we are putting up for every flagship, we are setting up 3 large industrial sheds measuring 3,500 square meters, 3 of them in each of the zones, and a small shed measuring about 1,750 square meters. So this is to add in terms of addressing more industrial space. And what we're doing is that within your areas, if you want to set up a plant, for instance, within maybe it's actually Sagani, you're able to get your raw materials from within the area. If you require, for instance, maybe it's along, maybe if it is, we have another one in Murang'a. If you require the raw, if it is avocado or macadamia, you really want to ensure that you get your raw materials from nearer where you require the raw materials. And again, the infrastructure is quite adequate in terms of really helping you to produce and also to export. I hope I've addressed it. Okay, before I go with a follow-up on that, I want Ms. Ms. Floyce, you're actually next. I want to hear after Ralph gets his enterprise license, he's going to need each and every one of you. So I want every one of you to prepare an answer, but before you do that, I don't know whether that's what Ralph was asking, but maybe he wanted to know, is it possible for him to give you the avocados instead of giving it to him? Because you're talking about farmers and etc.
Thank you. So, just for clarity, we do not buy avocado from farmers. We provide a conducive environment for you to operate. So you are an investor, we ensure that the environment is okay. So it's if you buying avocado from farmers, you also sell them.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Florence?
Thank you very much. Just as a follow-up to what Richard has done, Richard has been able to give you what I call the hardware of getting the business done. But when it comes to exports, and one of the things that we're realizing is that the story and the brand makes a difference. So one of the things that we encourage you to do, even as once you already agree that you're doing avocado oil, is to be able to tell your story and brand. I want to refer you to an organization that is called Limbua. Limbua is an organization, again, done by a diasporan, the German and a Kenyan and a German diaspora, who has managed to get a network of avocado players in central Kenya, Kenyatta, Uganda. And he has positioned himself as being able to provide solutions at that level for the international market by ensuring, first of all, that he works with the communities to grow the avocado. And in doing it, he positions his product as an organic product. So he holds the farmers to be able to do an organic farming of the avocado. He uses the same farmers to be able to work, use them to work in the factory around Rana and Kirinyaga, uses them and they are paid as per the international law requirements. So he's not going to be having fair trade issues already addressed around it. And because he's also positioning himself as a green avocado space, he's able to show how every waste is accounted for, either to the point where it becomes manure and then put back to the farm. So he's been able to position. The other thing is also when he sells it bulk, he sells it bulk one seller in Germany. But that seller has got the comfort and can be able to work towards the branding that he's been able to place to ensure that he can leverage that to get a higher premium for everybody. So that actually is a case where, end to start, we have a responsible business, corporate responsible business that is able to give back to the community at every level. So everything about this international standard is branded himself as that. He's been able to get the network of farmers. And when you go in those areas, because his focus is avocado oil and macadamia, it has made a difference. People are able to get Nairobi base salaries back in the land, and they're able to make a difference. And now that is a story that he uses to position his avocado oil crops. So I would encourage you to make sure that the soft side of whatever business you're doing is actually, and the narrative around it is communicated, it is branded, it becomes a narrative around what you want to position the avocado. That's one thing. And so again, there's the issue of markets. You can decide whether you're going to be able to do to sell in bulk, because now that's again, you have to understand how your market is. Or do you want to brand it from the level and come back as a branded product to the American market? And that's for avocado oil. When it comes to selling raw avocado, unfortunately, because we have to go through sanitary and photosanitary issues. And I remember in the last AmCham, that was one of the issues that our CS had picked, because there's actually an interest in Walmart to have Kenyan avocados, because I believe there is a difference in season between the Mexican one and the Kenyan one. So if the Mexican season is down, the Kenyan one can be a source for avocado. The problem is on getting the standardization aspects out And that is something that is being followed up by the plant health organization, CAPIS, and they should be able to see what can be done. Ideally, they're saying the science makes sense. It's now the protocol that needs to be done. So at that point, if your focus is in American market, then you have to probably you're probably more leaning towards the value addition as opposed to the national product. And then if that is the case, then the issue of stories. I could give you an example. There was this Kenyan lady who got a 44 million grant for coffee because she was able to tell her story about how to be able to market coffee. So that is now the soft skills that we find that most Kenyans, both diaspora and ourselves, don't use, and we end up giving a lot of dollar on the table. And that's what we encourage you to do. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Madam Esther, what would you do for Ralph? And after he gets his enterprise license, meets employees, and he does the software, the marketing, helps him brand his product when he comes to you. Actually, he should have gone to her first and gotten the money to do that. So let's start with you, and then Madam, you can finish, because I have a question. We have 10 more minutes, and I have a question that had been sent from the audience for Madam. So you will do that, and then you answer that question, and then you answer the other question.
Actually, he should be my best friend.
Very good.
And why I urge all diasporans to be a best friend to Ken Invest is because we advocate for matchmaking. You know, when you farm from afar, the probability that you will be caught, even if you're Kenyan, is very high. So what we do at Ken Invest, over and above investor targeting, we actually do matchmaking, what we call business to business deals. Because when you get a local, what Lois is saying, a local supplier who already has an established market, it is easier for you to know that there will be no middleman who is going to play monkey business, right? And number two, over and above what we also say in terms of market surveillance, you have a very vibrant American Chamber of Commerce. And I would actually urge each and every one of you to be a member of AmCham, because it is through AmCham where you're able to voice whatever issues you have. So at Ken Invest, we work very closely with AmCham. We work very closely with what we call the local suppliers. So we do B2Bs, we match make, yeah? So you would be safe in Ken Invest. We will ensure that we handhold you, and we ensure that you are not caught in every way.
So can he get more money to ramp up his, go to Mr. Melu to do his, he can get money from you?
In Ken Invest, we do not give money.
Okay, just
but
asking.
we are able to help you to package your idea, your concept for actually resource mobilization.
Perfect, thank you. Madam Esther?
I was just telling my colleague that as a government, there is KDIC, Kenya Development and Corporation, that has opportunities for you to source for funding, depending on what project it is that you fund, and the program that they're currently facing, or rather implementing. I know currently there is a program they are implementing on livestock, export of livestock products. And it has a lot of money. So if you're in that space, you can be able to go to that organization, headed by our colleague Laura Platem, who can be able to take you through a process of getting financing from KDIC. Thanks.
Thank you very much for that addition.
Yes, talking to Emeritus, and I will talk for the processing bit. Because when you come to the avocado, we want to ship the avocado, as the voice has said, it sits under the CAFIS. So they're the ones who get you through the permits and what you need to do. When it comes to processing a processed oil from the avocado, I want to believe that you are not just targeting the American market. There's a wider market than that. And where we come in is that first, if you are coming in as an MSME, we are able to hold your hand and support you in terms of how you get your product certification. We normally have very specific packages, very low prices on how you have your product certified. We charge a very minimum fee, which helps in the testing of that product and the certification of the product. And once you have that certificate, the permit, the S-mark, standardization mark that you put on the label of your product, then that product is able to access Kenyan market, the East African market. And we are working now very closely in terms of harmonization of standards at the African level, noting that Kenya is the gateway to Africa, to see that the product, we have a mutual recognition with different countries. We already have a framework at the African level. And once we get the specific markets where countries where we know we have advantage to trade with, we will enter into mutual recognition where once we have the mark on the product, then it doesn't have to be tested on entry into these other markets. So that is something we're working on. And we have the very targeted countries where we shall enter into those mutual recognition for purposes of entry or assisting the industry with access to those markets. So that's what we are doing. For products which are at the EPZ zones, which now are meant for the export market, as I said earlier, the requirements is by the importing country. So if we are targeting the American market, we need to know what their requirements are, so that then we are able to feel that we meet requirements for your requirements.
Thank you very much. There was two questions regarding an exporter from the US who wants to take EV batteries to Kenya. And the question is whether they require a diamond mark of quality from KEBS to do that. And then there's a follow-up question to that is, what process does KEBS use to maintain, what will they need to do to keep that mark of quality current?
Thank you very much. Now, for you to bring products into the country, lithium batteries being part of them, EV batteries, there are different channels you can use. And I'm glad that you are aware about the diamond mark of quality is one of them. When you have, and for you to get diamond mark of quality, you just need to apply through our website. You make an application, you make the payment. Our officers will come to your facility to see where that product will be coming from. And once we are assured of the process of where the source of the product is coming, we give you the diamond mark of quality. If you have the diamond mark of quality, it is valid for a period of 4 years. So you don't have to worry about bringing the product. And once your product has the diamond mark of quality, we don't have any other testing at the port of entry. And we don't require anything else. You are able to just ship directly into Kenya without any other testing happening at the port of entry, because you have that assurance and your product is coming back there on the mark of quality. It is a mark of excellence, and that is why within the 4-year period of time, you are able to ship your product into the country. We have other 2 channels. The other channel is the product registration. You can have your product registered, you still go through the same system. You register with us in our website. There are specific products that you cannot do product registration, and especially the very listed products, like there are specific products we have listed which you cannot do product registration, but majority of these other products you can do product registration. And once you have registered your product, then you don't also have to go through any other process. Your product gets to the port of entry and it's around into the country. The other channel that majority of the people are aware of is the PVC, the verification of conformity for the products coming. So this is where we use a specific partner who is based here in the US, and specifically it's SGS. You go to them anytime you want to ship a product. You go to them, they pick your samples, they test your samples, they give you a certificate of conformity. And once you have the COC, then your product are able to come through our our port of entry without any other testing or without any other charges at the port of entry. So those are the three channels we are currently using. DMARC, the best. So as long as you have the diamond mark, you are good to go.
Thank you very much. We are almost done, so we'll take 3-4 questions from the audience. Let me get permission from the organizers first. Can I give the audience 4 questions? How many should I give? 2. Which ones should I give? Because they are raising their hands. You choose for me. Mr. Boro, okay. Go ahead, Mr. Boro.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. And this Jambo is a good job. Thank you so much. My name is Peter Ndomo. I'm known for helping Kenya ship things back to Kenya. My question goes back to Richard, the EPZ. There's something you mentioned which I need to get some clarification. That there's a way you can approach, if I got it right, there's a way you can approach EPZ if you have a development facility which you'd like to be accredited UPS or EPZ, that you can be able to approach your organization and you can get that accreditation from the organization. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ndomo. Yes, as I said, we licensed for public. We actually gazette even private zones. As a matter of fact, currently we have about 91 of them in about 22 counties, over and above the 10 public zones. So what happens is that we go through the same process. If you have a piece of land, you have to demonstrate that the land belongs to you, first of all. If it's not yours, the lease must be long-term. Once you're okay with that, you also look at other installations within the parcel of land. We want to look at, does it have a perimeter wall around it? Because security is of essence. It must be well secured with a perimeter wall around it. 2, it must also provide for a circuit movement within the zone, so that if you have trucks moving around the facility, you must demonstrate to us that that facility you're able to move and make a circuit around the same facility. You also want to confirm that in terms of the warehouses that you have, and also the offices, that they are the right quality, because what you do is that even we involve NEMA in terms of establishing impact, doing an impact assessment, environmental impact assessment. So once we are convinced that we find it satisfactory, we then make a recommendation to our parent ministry for consideration to consider gazetting that parcel of land as a private zone. So it'll be given a developer license where you're required to pay $5,000 for you to operate a private zone. And at all times must maintain those standards in terms of even utilities within the same facility. You must also be free to allow KRA to inspect the facility, so that we ensure that, remember, in some cases we'll be importing some materials to put up some sheds within the zone or some buildings within the zone. So we have to be sure that the government is not losing any tax as a result of having that facility going to have. So we basically do an appraisal and ensure that in terms of physical infrastructure, it is okay. Security, it is okay. Security of the goods and the people around is okay. Facilities, in terms of common user facilities or utilities, are also in order now before we consider now making a recommendation for gazettement of your parcel of land as a private zone, not a public zone.
Okay, thank you, the panel. My name is Jambo. I have 2 questions. One, I have a question for the bank. There's some of the bank, for the commercial bank, or maybe the financial question. I normally travel Kenya and other parts of the world, like Africa, just the last 2 days. But the question I have is about borrowing. Don't you think that the cost of borrowing money for the LNG in China is too high? When something percent, 18%, how are they saying that? Because I think people should be given an opportunity to do the investment, but if the cost of borrowing is high, it's hard. So right now, the banks are competing in buying bonds from the central bank. They're given 80%. They do not have appetite even to refinance for the people who want to do the investment. Because they are assured of getting their returns. If you want to borrow, there's no way of borrowing because the banks make it easy. And lastly, for the people who are here, I went to Accra, West Africa for the last 15 days with my wife in a certain company. People who need the money. I'm working with a group of consortium who can give you up to $50 million. So long as the project is viable, it has to be studied. But if you do that, even if you're doing real estate infrastructure, see me then you can talk. Wonderful. Most of these people are here, they talk nice, but when you come to see them over their home, they're larger than life. You can't even see them if you are a project. So that's something we should do.
Okay, thank you. Now, the thing is, there's two ways we can handle this, but because of time, we would have said in the interest of one government approach, we have nominated one person to answer that from this panel, but we would because there's two people from this, they are around. I will personally look for them and introduce you to them. I've also heard that you qualify for a seat at the advisor table for the presidency. So maybe we can actually now talk about that.
One thing I forgot to tell. Kenyans are far much ahead in some places, but we have a lot we can offer over there.
Absolutely.
They're still doing cash. Everything is cash. Even when I go to a hotel, I pay cash.
Yes.
I looked at it, then I just cried. If my people will be here, they are willing to open the market for us to invest.
Okay.
I sat down with the president of some countries, the Chamber of Commerce and other people. They're willing to do that. Microfinancing in Kenya is the best. The M-Pesa is the best. Bring all the business, I take you there.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. We will get someone to handle you. With that, there's something you have said that I think requires some follow. We lack follow through. One of the things we really lack is follow through. Does everyone agree? We talk good. We have seminars in where is this hotel on Thika Road where we celebrate, we talk about the things we were going to do. Now, I want to make a proposal here to resolve that problem. We have Jambo over here, these people here, they have introduced them to us, they have answered. All of them without exception have promised, okay, only Madam Esther did not promise to handhold somebody and take them through the process, but all the others said that they won't. So we want to ask Balozi here, in the next Jambo list, I want Raphael to come and tell us how he did with the avocados. Have we agreed? You know, even the Declaration of Independence of the US was agreed by just a few people, and here we have a country. So we agree that we are sending her, and you will have to, and you invite me to the next Jamboree so that I can come and ask tough questions. Is that okay? Yes. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. The ayes have it, and with that, we close this call.
You can do better. I am, guess what? We are trying to get out of this room so that you can set up for dinner. So,
sorry, I just wanted to make one correction. That the Kenya government is actually supporting the diaspora. So we are not saying that the government will close any doors for you. It's actually very open. As you can see, the president is actually giving the State Department, the diaspora, and therefore recognizes the importance of that.
Also, person in charge to
Yeah.
come here.
So please be assured that the government is supporting you, and we as government, we are going to make sure that you get all your services, which has been promised by the Government of Kenya. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So let's give another round of applause. So then our panel and our moderator, Mr. Matavia, excellent job. And all the CEOs that were here, we don't always get the CEOs out here, so we are very grateful to the CEO of Kifobra, EPCA, Kenya Bureau of Standard, and Kenya Investment Authority. Give them another round of applause. And we can, because they are not on vacation, they are here to work, correct?
Yes.
They are not going, after this, right now, they are going to be sitting we are going to give them a seat right at the entrance where you check in. There's a lot of space right there. We will give them seats, and you will go there and ask questions and get their cell phone numbers.
Yeah.
All right, and so that when Sarah has to report to Mr. Matavia, she has something to report. So we are going to escort them to right there at the entrance, where you walk in, and that's where they're going to be. So my friends, we have to end the panel because we have our biggest event tonight, our export dinner, and it's going to be setting up in this place. And so we want to thank you so much. And before we close, we just want to acknowledge the sponsors of this event. There were two sponsors that helped us because we don't make money doing these events because they are community events. So we only go by people who are willing to help us. Send helped us. They are the best app to use to send money to Kenya. And the other company that helped us is, you stand out. This young CEO, you guys have to look at him because he's a friend of Jambo. His name is John Waora, and he is the CEO of Fiscal Africa. And he's such a great supporter of these three ladies that we owe him a lot, and we are very, very grateful. He will be here tonight, and he will be telling us more about his company. But now, where can we find you? Because we have two hours. Where can we find you? Where can we find you?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you. First of all, Jambo is you guys are one of the best in the balance. Those people. Those people. One of the best things I can tell you, Jambo is one. Ninawauliza tafadhali Jambo is. Si extend hii relationship yetu na watu wetu wa export kumoza mdoni, watu wa caps, wale wadada wako pale na ule jamaa wetu. The same thing wamekuja hapa. Haki watufanyie the same Nairobi. Nikisikia maneno wanaongea haki usema ukweli hatujui. Please ongea na wao vizuri. Hata mimi nikiongea naona kama ni investor. Ongea na wao, that's the best. Ama namna gani? Such that at least tukikuja hapa tuseme kuna 2,000, 5,000 acres watu wanaweza kufanya. We can even lay an infrastructure board because of it. Watuambie one of us qualified for percent watampatia license kufanya like what you call a nuclear farm, and people in that work and own it, whereby they're not going to waste them. For that particular right, because actually investment, on the condition that all the produce, especially from avocado zikitoka pale, zitakuja maybe best interest. That itawauliza kisimama.
Thank you. He is here. He's a person of the people. All right. So he's going to be around here. So talk to him. So now, my friends, we have come to the end of this session. I am going to request kindly you make your way out of this, go up there and meet our vendors. We have a lot of vendors all over the place. Meet them, please. And thank you, thank you, thank you.